Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode on the movie called Life. Every life has chapters we rarely talk about, chapters filled with silent battles, moments when a child is forced to grow up too quickly, moments when life asks questions that seem too heavy for a young heart to carry. Today's story is about a girl the world might have once called feeble, a girl whose life began in a crowded home, but whose journey would eventually teach her the meaning of resilience. This is not just a story about loss, it is a survival story, about courage, about the quiet power of refusing to let pain decide your future. This is the story of the feeble girl. 40 years ago, in a small and crowded household where many voices lived under the same roof, a girl was born into a complicated family story. Different mothers, different children, different lives unfolding in the same narrow space. It was a polygamous home, the kind where love existed, but it was often stretched thin between too many needs, too many dreams, too many dramas. Life in that house was never simple. Her mother bore 4 children, but life was not gentle with them. 2 of those children never lived long enough to grow up. Only 2 survived, and one of them was her. From the moment she entered the world, life seemed determined to test her strength before she even understood what strength meant. But nothing could prepare her for the day everything changed. She was only 11 years old, an age when most children worry about homework, friends, and the games they will play after school. An age when a child still believes parents are forever, but forever ended too soon. Her mother died, and not long after, the man who should have been her shield, her protection, her safe place, her father, was gone too. In the quiet that followed, the house that once felt crowded with voices suddenly felt hollow, even with so many people living around, empty in a way that echoed, too empty for a child. The laughter that once filled her days slowly disappeared. In its place grew something heavy inside her chest, something she didn't yet have the words to explain. Loneliness, fear, and questions no one around her seemed able to answer. Why her? Why so soon? Why so much loss for someone so small? But life did not stop to explain itself. It rarely does. Instead, it pushed her forward. The world was not gentle with her. There were days she felt invisible, as though she existed on the edge of other people's lives. Opportunities slipped through her fingers. Doors closed before she could even knock. Rejection slowly became familiar. Failure became a companion that walked beside her. There were nights when fear sat with her in the darkness, like a shadow that refused to leave. Moments when she wondered quietly if life had already decided how her story would end. Some nights were so heavy that sleep refused to come. Some months stretched so painfully that they felt like years. And sometimes she would look back at the path behind her and whisper softly to herself, "Maybe I made mistakes." But even in those moments, the deepest and most silent ones, something inside her refused to die. A small voice, quiet, fragile, but stubborn, it whispered gently, "Your story is not finished." So she made a promise, not a loud promise, not one spoken to the world, just a quiet vow she made to herself, the kind that settles deep in the heart. She would not allow her life to end in sorrow. She would not allow the pain she inherited to become the pain she passed on. She would change the narrative. She would write a different ending, even if the road was long, even if it meant walking through life alone, even if it meant failing 1,000 times before succeeding once, because she had already survived the kind of loss that breaks people forever, and surviving that had given her something powerful, perspective. She began to understand something many people never truly learn. Strength is not born from comfort, it is born from survival. Every rejection, every delay, every closed door was not the end of her story. It was simply another page turning, slowly, painfully, but forward. Years passed, and the girl who once felt fragile grew into a woman who understood resilience. A woman who discovered that destiny is not always kind, but it can still be rewritten. Today, when people look at her, they may see strength, but they do not always see the 11-year-old girl who once stood in the ruins of her childhood and made a decision to live, a decision to rise, a decision that her life would not end the way it began, because sometimes the people the world calls weak are the very ones who change the story. And that little girl, the one who lost everything in her teens, she did not disappear. She grew, she fought, she endured, and in the quiet way only the strong understand, she proved something powerful. The feeble girl was never feeble at all. She was simply becoming, and maybe that is the lesson hidden inside her story. Life may begin with pain, it may begin with loss, it may begin with circumstances we never chose. But beginnings do not decide endings. Because in this movie called Life, every setback can become a turning point, and every scar can become a source of strength. If this story touched you, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. Sometimes the strongest people are those who had every reason to give up, but chose to keep going. Thank you for spending this moment with us. And remember, your story is still being written. See you on the next episode of the movie called Life.